Okay, so today we're going to work on flexibility, a big shoulder opening stretch sequence. We're going to move into core work, working especially and specifically targeting the mid-core and the upper core. And we're going to work into a little bit of flexibility into the leg. So for this first 20-minute sequence, just begin in a comfortable seated position. If you really want to start and you have blocks, you can start in a pose called Hero's Pose, and you can sit up on your blocks if it feels more comfortable for you. We're just going to start to work on opening in through the knee joint. So the idea is that if you find it a little bit too difficult to come right down straight on the mat, you can sit up high on the blocks. Otherwise, ideally you can be sitting down on the mat, and then you can have the blocks behind you, and then you can just roll down onto the blocks or a pillow, and then begin in a nice, starting to open up the heart and the chest as you settle into stillness in the body, starting to notice the breath, taking a long deep inhalation and a nice slow exhalation. Just really bringing awareness to your natural breathing pattern here as you inhale right through to the bottom of the belly, and then exhale, allowing all of the stagnant air to come upwards and out. Just taking a moment to notice the mind. Notice any thoughts, feelings, sensations, or emotions that are rising up for you as you lay here. Notice if the thoughts are taking you away from this present moment. If you have a to-do list, if you're checking off everything that you need to get done this afternoon, or anything that's been going on earlier in the day or from yesterday. And just notice if those ideas or thoughts are still circling around in the mind, really taking you away from your practice, from that deep connection between your mind and your body and your breath. And just using the tools that you already have, which is bringing the awareness back to the breath anytime the mind starts to wander away from the practice. Taking a nice, long, slow inhale, and a nice, perhaps exhaling double the length of the inhale. So if you take a 3-count inhalation and then exhale for 6 counts. Nice, long, and slow. And then you're welcome to stay here. I'm just going to cue you to come in to a little bit of movement, some gentle inversion. So when you're ready, come to a standing tall kneeling position. Take your time if you need to take any movement to decompress the knee joint. If you want to take some cat-cow rolls here, just lifting the chest and the tail to the ceiling, tucking the toes to get a nice big stretch down the underside of the toes. And then exhale as you protract the shoulder blades, really rounding out here, pushing the floor away. And as you just start to move through these cat-cows, before we start to go through a little bit of gentle inversion work, just notice where the hand placement is. So first of all, we're going to bend the elbows, we're going to wrap the biceps around, and then we're going to bring awareness to the pointer fingers. So making sure they're parallel to the edges of the mat, and then pushing the pointer fingers away from us while we squeeze the thumbs together. So it's really slight, subtle, minor adjustments in the hands, but it's really going to activate and safely work the arms, so we keep safe once we start to bring weight and joints and shoulders over the wrists, especially in yoga when you are working that area of the body in downward dogs, through the sun salutations, through planks, through arm balances, through all of this strength building work that we're going to be doing today. So just anytime you think about it, just really start to wrap those 5 points of activation in through the hands, and this is called the hand press here. So from here, we're going to add on. If you want to come up to tall kneeling position, bring the backs of the hands together as you reach them up above your head, taking a slow inhalation. So perhaps a 4-count inhalation as you reach the arms up to the ceiling. Retaining the breath for 2 counts here. And then when you're ready, flipping the palms to the back of the room, bending the elbows behind the body as you make your way to a slow 6 count exhalation. Just really drawing the core into the belly, keeping the spine nice and straight as you touch the forehead to the mat. Suspending the breath for 2 counts, so noticing what it's like to have no breath in the body. And then when you're ready, coming back up. So this time we're going to externally rotate the shoulders in the socket as you flip the palms to the front of the room, reaching the arms up and over the head, palms together at the top. Again, retaining the breath for 2 counts here. And then when you're ready, making your way down. So this time we're going to internally rotate the shoulder in the socket as you make your way down, forehead to the floor, bending the arms behind the body as you exhale. A 6 count slow exhalation, drawing the belly in towards the spine. We're going to do one more round here, so just suspending the breath for 2 counts before you make your way up. Flipping the palms back to the front of the room, reaching the arms up and over the head, palms together at the top here. Retaining the breath for 2 counts. And then exhale for 6 counts as you flip the palms to the back of the room, drawing the belly in towards the spine. So we're starting to really engage the core already in these slight inversions as you bend the elbows behind the body. And then suspending the breath, so holding the breath out of the body, noticing what it's like to have no air in the body for perhaps 2 counts. And then from here, we're going to come back into our tabletop variation. So you've got options. We're going to be working quite intensively into the side core. So from here, we're going to come up into a plank. This is the high option. We're going to rotate into side plank, reaching the right arm up to the ceiling. And then as you exhale, weave the arm through and under the body. And we're going to repeat that 10 times. So inhale, reach the arm up. Exhale, weave it through. If you find that it gets a bit too intensive, drop down to your knees and you can go through the same option in a tabletop variation, so it's a little bit more gentle. And then you can start to work under threading the needle and bring that into a little bit of a flow. So inhale as you reach the arm up, and then exhale, bringing the arm under the armpit and releasing it, the shoulder all the way to the floor. So whichever option you choose, opening the arms up to the ceiling, and then exhale as you contract the arm towards the chest. Staying here when you've done your 10 reps in whichever variation you choose, either holding the plank for 10 counts or taking the lower option, dropping down through tabletop, and then holding the thread the needle. So here we're just weaving the right arm underneath the left armpit. Turn the right cheek to the mat as you extend the left arm up under the right armpit and extend the right arm long on the mat as you take a couple of breaths here. And then when you're ready, we're going to take that on the other side. So coming back up on the other side, if you need to take child's pose or any other option before you do so, this time reaching the arm up and over in your plank. Exhale as you weave it under the body. Inhale, coming up. Exhale as you contract the arm in towards the belly. Inhale, come up. Exhale. Again, going through your options if you need to take a break or you want to try a different variation. Coming down through tabletop. So coming back down to the knees as you open the arm up to the ceiling and then bending the arm under the body. Tucking it all the way under through the armpit. Inhale, reach up. Exhale as you contract the arm long, weaving it under the armpit. Do 2 more here in whichever variation you choose, and either coming into that longer holding plank, exhale here, or coming down through thread the needle and holding for 10 counts. So it's the other arm underneath the armpit, with the right arm extended, or the left arm extended long, right arm under the armpit, and left cheek towards the mat. And when you're ready, we're going to come up into another side plank variation. So again, taking your options. If you prefer to take gateway, drop the knee. Place the hand we're starting on the right side this time. So right hand length planted on the mat. Reach the left arm up and over. Option here is to stay here and come up and over into a gateway flow, reaching the arm up and over one side towards the extended leg, and then reaching the other arm out away from that extended leg. If you want to, and you want to try and add on, push the floor away, press up, draw the knee up high, sending it towards the elbow, and then send the leg to the back of the mat. And we're going to do this 10 times. So really lifting the hips to the ceiling as you squeeze the knee towards the elbow. Work with the breath. If you lose the breath, drop down a level until you build the strength to maintain the consistency, the integrity of the pose. And then once you've done your 10 rounds, drop the knee, switching it around back onto the other side. So from here, taking left knee down to the floor, left arm onto the mat, reach the arm up and over if you're coming into your gateway flow, as you bring the arm up and over towards the outstretched leg, and then sending the right arm long. So this is your option if you want to take a break from the intensity of the core work. Otherwise, lifting the knee, sending the foot to the back of the mat, drawing it into the elbow, going for 10 if you can. Again, lifting that hip, so really pressing the floor away with your supporting points as you inhale and exhale. And we're going to go for about 10 rounds here. And then when you're finished, relax, stretch it out, do what you need to do. If you need to take child's pose, take rest, or coming up into downward dog, just to stretch out the work that we've done in the side core, and then we're going to go on to the next side. We're going to move on. So it's the same idea. If you need to take a break, coming into gateway, lifting the knee. Otherwise, we're going to lift the knee, send it to the back of the mat. This time, we're going to draw it in towards the elbow, drop it to the wrist, bring it back up, and then send it to the back of the mat. So inhale, drawing the foot to the ankle, and then sending it to the elbow, to the wrist, and then to the back of the mat. So again, we go for 10 reps or 10 rounds, or just doing as many as you can until you build up your practice and build up that core strength. And then when you're ready, dropping the knee, coming into the other side if you need to take child's pose or downward dog in between variations, between your sides, you're welcome to do so. Just really listening to the body. And then when you're ready, drawing the knee towards the elbow, dropping it down to the wrist, sending it back up to the elbow, and then sending it back to the mat. So that's one round. Inhale or exhale as you contract the knee to the chest, drop it to the wrist, bring it back up to the elbow, stretch it long towards the back of the mat. And then start to work the breath. So we're really just dipping the hips and then lifting them back up as we use the weight of the leg to build strength into that side core, into the intercostal muscles of the rib cage, which stabilize. We're using the micro, building strength in the micro muscle groups, so we can support the major muscle groups to bring stability, endurance, and fluidity into the practice, as well as body awareness. So learning which muscles to switch on and which ones to switch off. So we've got our final variation in this side plank option. So again, taking whichever variation you choose, you've got this one where you can just stretch and stay here for the whole 10 breaths. Otherwise, you can bring the knee up, stretch that bottom leg out in front of you somewhere on the floor. So you're in the fallen star variation. So I've got my right leg outstretched underneath, my left leg is out long towards the end of the mat. From here, option is to dip the hips and then reach up. So you can do about 10 rounds of this. Otherwise, if you have the ability and the strength of the inner thigh, we're just going to lift the inner thigh up and then circle. So I'll just move the blocks out of the way. So circle 5 times one way here, and then 5 times the other way. Again, really pressing the floor away with those supporting points of the hand and that back foot. And then when you're ready, dropping down, making your way onto the other side, taking whichever option you need. If you need to take a child's pose or a downward facing dog. Stretching into gateway, planting that foot, the supporting foot, top supporting foot along the mat. Press and lift, find your option, and then extend that leg long out in front of you. Coming into your hip dips here, if you're taking the option, dropping the hip, and then lifting it to the ceiling. Doing 10 reps of this until you build up enough strength and awareness and balance to lift that bottom leg up, hovering it off the floor, and then coming into the circles. So again, 5 times one way, and then 5 times the other way. And then when you're ready, that's it. Take your rest, coming into child's pose. So I'm not sure if I've demonstrated child's pose yet, but we just, 2 options. You can have the knees wide apart or you can bring them together. Wide apart, you can extend the torso long. So you're coming into more of a stretch through the spine, lengthening through the tailbone. The idea is that you really want to release the tailbone towards the heels. Stretching the arms long, and the option here is you can tent the fingers. So you can come up onto the fingertips, tenting the palms of the hands, hollowing out through the armpits, and this actually drains the lymphatic system. And while we're here and I'm demonstrating, we can take the right hand off the side of the mat, cross the left hand over top, again keeping that lymphatic system drainage going if you prefer, and getting a really nice stretch down the side of the body, really counteracting the work that we've just done in the muscles of that side core. Then when you're ready, taking it to neutral, lengthening the spine out long before you move into the other side. And then taking the left hand off the side of the mat, stretching the right hand over top. Again, coming into that drainage, the lymphatic drainage, by tenting the fingers, hollowing out through the armpits as you inhale and exhale. And then when you're ready, we're going to move on. So, if you like the idea of building heat and keeping on working your practice, you can come up in bear pose, which is just coming from tabletop and then lifting the knees as you tuck the toes. So that's always an option to keep building heat and strength in the core and still working your practice. From here, we're going to roll down onto our backs. We're going to come through to work the middle core and the upper core just a little bit. See how you go. Don't worry if you can't do all of the reps. It comes with practice and strength. So from here, just rolling down nice and long. We're just going to start with simple basic crunches. So we're just going to crunch, squeeze the pelvis and the ribs together. And to get a little bit of lift, we're going to really bring the hands up towards the knees. And we're going to do this 20 times. So again, working the breath as you inhale and exhale. If you lose your breath, then drop down a level or have a break, because once you lose your breath, you've lost the essence of yoga and you're just really placing negative stress on the body. The breath is what calms the parasympathetic nervous system. It makes it the connection between the vagus nerve and the nerves in the body and the mind. That is really what controls the mind. And the body will do what it's told. It's the mind that places the pain or the label around what we're working. So when you have that awareness and you understand how important the breath is, you understand why it's so important to incorporate it into yoga, so you can challenge your body, you can build strength, and you can break through barriers a lot quicker than if you had no awareness of your breath. And I'll discuss this a little bit more when we go into the flexibility, how to use the breath to work the flexibility postures. So when you've done your 20, coming up, this time we're going to go through low boat. So come down a little bit, drop down on your forearms, and then we're going to come up. So squeeze the knees into the chest and then exhale, stretch low. And again, we're going to go through this about 20 times. You can make it as fast as you like. Just use the breath. So if you are making it fast, your breath is going to sound more like this. so we can incorporate a little bit of breath work into our practice. Then when you're ready, holding, now we're going to come down onto our backs, lifting the legs up to the ceiling. You can interlace all of the fingers, leaving your pointer fingers out, and then crossing the left thumb over top of the right for females, or if you're a male, cross the right thumb over top of the left. So from here, we're going to do tiny baby crunches, sending the legs up and really pointing, lifting in the upper abdominal area to create the crunch. We're going to go for 20, again using the breath. If you want to, you can start to lower the legs. If you have the strength to pulse, do those little baby pulses up. And I always lose count when I teach yoga. So just when you've done enough or you can't do anymore, we're going to bring it into a little bit of a scissor kick variation. So from here, we're going to drop the left leg down, bring the pointer fingers to the outside of the right foot. Inhale, come back to neutral. Exhale as you drop the opposite foot down. Bring the pointer fingers to the outside of the left leg. So we're going to go through that about 20 times, dropping one leg, coming into that cross crunch, switching the fingers from one side of the legs to the other as you move them in unison, doing little scissor kicks here. And again, we're going to go for 20. And then when you've done 20, we're not quite finished yet, but we're going to start to drop one leg, and then we're just going to really squeeze up into that cross crunch on one side. So drop the left leg, twisting the upper core, bringing the hands as you pulse up towards the outside of the right leg. And then when you're ready and you've done 20, switch the legs and then take the opposite grip. If your neck's getting a little bit sore by now from holding the weight of the head, you can just interlace the fingers and then draw the elbow towards the opposite leg. Or using the reach of your hands just to get a little bit further to maximize that upper core reach and potential. And then when you've done about 20, you can draw the knees into the chest. We're not quite done yet, but I'm going to adjust my positioning on the mat. So reaching the legs out long. This time we're going to come into a little bit of a reverse crunch. So lift up the pelvis, lifting the tailbone up high as you can off the mat. So we're coming into a reverse crunch variation. And then we're going to drop the legs and hold at a 45-degree angle. And we're going to do this about 10 times, maybe 20, just until failure. Inhale, crunch up. Exhale, release the legs to that 45-degree angle. So it's a nice, slow, controlled option here. Again, using the breath. If you need to hold the head just a little bit, if it's getting a little bit heavy after all of this core work. Otherwise, you can lie it flat down on the mat, crunching up and then lowering the legs. So that 45-degree angle. Inhaling and exhaling as you release the legs. And then when you've done your 10 to 20, or just until failure, draw the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a nice gentle squeeze. So we've worked the side core, the mid core, a little bit into the upper core. Now we're just going to really try one more series of exercises, really coming back into the plank variation. We're going to add a little bit of a lizard lunge into it. And we're also going to twist over into wild thing. So that's really just to stretch out the core. So coming down into your child's pose, if you want to take a little bit of a break, really stretching out all of the core that we've just worked. Taking a couple of breaths if you want to come into that flow again. The child's pose variation, taking the fingertips off the mat as you tent the fingertips up, raise the palms of the hands, hollow out through the armpits as you inhale here. Stretching right down the side of the body, that extended side of the body, Breathing deeply in between the bones of the rib cage, those intercostal muscles. Then coming back to neutral, coming down for that nice long extended forward fold variation. Extension in the spine, and then taking the hands off the other side of the mat, tenting the fingertips up, palms lifted, hollowing out through the armpits. And then from here we're going to come up into lizard. So however way you get there, you can lift the heels, lift the tail, coming up into your downward dog. You can begin to pedal out the feet here. From here we're going to start with the right leg, so drawing the right leg in towards the chest. Send it up into your three-legged dog just to open up the hips a little bit here. Really push the floor away. Find the hollowing, so really drawing the navel in towards the spine. As you inhale here, exhale. Bring the knee in towards the chest. And then plant that foot slowly, like you're moving through honey, to the outside of the right hand. So take a few steps, take as many steps as you need to find that ideal placement here. And then from here you can either drop the knee or keep the toes tucked, draw the kneecap up, and then you can come down just for a moment to come off the wrists, because we're going to be doing another series of plank work here. So as you inhale here and exhale, and then as and when you're ready, coming back up, we're going to come into the spider plank variation. So again, option is to just drop the knee and come through tabletop. I'll show you the full option first, and then if you need to, you can take the second option of keeping the knee dropped. So from here, you can actually try and start to lift. If you can see my knee, you can start to lift the right knee up high into the shoulder, and then start to lift the foot off as you come into your plank. You can come for a press here just to work a little bit of strength in the body. Bring the knee, sending it back towards the back of the mat so we're in a three-legged plank option here. From here, now we're going to draw the knee into the elbow. So right knee, right elbow, lift it up higher to the shoulder and send it to the back of the mat. So we're going to go through 10 reps here. That's 1 rep, bringing the knee towards the elbow, lifting it up to the shoulder, and then sending it back. So we're really squeezing into that side body, crunching everything up as you draw the knee under the chest, move it out towards the right elbow, and then up higher to the shoulder. So you've got those 3 points of definition. And then using the breath, once you've done 10 rounds, I said I'd give you the option. So dropping the knee if you need to, and then just doing the same option through your tabletop variation here. So it's a little bit more gentler on the body, and you can start to work in this option, this lower option. You can really start to work on the structure of that tabletop placement, the hands, the press that we talked about before. So from here, if you need to take a break, take it. Otherwise, draw that knee back into the chest. This time we're going to go for a longer hold. So really just squeezing the elbow towards its right elbow towards it's right knee towards the right elbow, holding for 10 counts. So again, finding that press in the hand. If you can, micro bending in the elbows, wrapping the biceps around, squeezing the thumbs together, pushing the floor away. And then lastly, releasing the pointer fingers away from the body. So you've got all of these things to focus on while you're holding here as you protract the shoulder blades, creating more space in the upper body so you can draw and lift the knee higher into the chest, bringing the knee in towards the nose so it's in a more neutral alignment here. Holding again for 10 breaths. And then when you're ready, this time drawing that knee towards the opposite elbow. So it's right knee towards the left elbow as you push the floor away, keeping all of the hand press points of activation engaged. Even as you start to get a little bit fatigued and tired. And then when you're ready, you can release, drop the knees, come back down into child's pose. Or if that wasn't enough for you and you need to keep adding on, coming up into bear pose if you don't need the rest. So from here, we're going to stretch the right knee back into the chest, sending it up into your three-legged dog. This time we're going to take scorpion, and then we're going to come up onto lift the heels of the left leg. Start to release the right hand as you flip that top leg up and over. So you're just really learning to stabilize the muscles as you stretch up the hips to the ceiling, lengthening through the torso. Stretching out all of the work that you've just done on the core. From here, we're going to release the hips just gently. Not dropping all the way, just enough to find that press, to find the stability in the shoulders and that supporting hand and the balls of the feet, of that supporting leg. As you make your way through your side plank transition, from here you can start to stabilize. And you can play around with your different variations. So you can come up through tree, you can take your pointer fingers around your big toe, you can open up if you have the flexibility in the leg. Or if you can't reach your toes, just play around with practicing, lifting that leg up into your side plank variation before again planting the right hand and bringing it back around to your plank variation. This time we're going to come down into lizard one more time. So draw the right knee in towards the chest, slowly plant it to the outside of the right hand. This time you can drop that knee down. We're going to add a little bit of flexibility here. So from here, coming into your Andalyasana. So find the points of activation as you draw the heel in towards the knee. Bring it a little bit closer. So this time you're stacked at a 90-degree angle on both points. And then from here you can reach the backs of the hands up high. Drawing the heel in towards the knee, lengthen through the tailbone. From here, you can start to bring it into a back bend, but to safely do so, I suggest you place your thumbs either side of the spine and then just start to come forward with the whole pelvis. From here, now you can release the tailbone just a little bit more, so you're lifting up and out of the lower lumbar as you come into the back bend. The back bend should be coming from the thoracic spine. So just taking your time to play around to make sure that you're not going to create any wear and tear on that lower lumbar. You really want to make sure that you're lifted up and out of it as you perhaps release the head back to the ceiling. Again, working with the breath. And we're going to go more into the breath work as we come into the half split. So if you have your blocks and you want to use them, I really suggest utilizing props. So make them as high as you need to, and the idea is that as you straighten through the front leg, you send the tailbone back behind you. But what we do, instead of rounding out, we lose the activation in that hamstring. So what we really want to do is release the tailbone all the way as far as possible to the back of the mat, even if it means coming up higher on the blocks, so that the crown of the head, the neck, the spine, it's in a nice long straight line. If not, then hollowed out even further. I'll adjust the angle so you can see what I'm demonstrating. So if it's, as long as it's not rounded, we're really starting to work on it coming into a back bend. Another option to work your half splits, and this ties in with your shoulder flexibility that you wanted. So reaching the arms out long, bringing the palms of the hands together, crossing them or folding them somewhere behind the back, and then really opening up the elbows here. So I'm bending from the thoracic spine, and now I've got a nice big arc in my spine. And then from here, I start to release forward. So I really keep the back bend activated here. So I can really activate and stretch even further down through the hamstring. As you inhale here, and then exhale. Now, I did discuss the breath when you're working flexibility. So if you need to come up, if the sensation is getting a bit too much, inhale as you come up out of it completely. You can even round through the tailbone. Just reverse the pattern of what we've tried to instigate in the body. As you inhale for 3 counts. And then as you exhale, activate those points. So lengthen through the tailbone, lifting it to the ceiling, coming into that back bend and folding forward. So it could be a 6 count exhalation as you fold the body forward. Coming a little bit deeper each time. Coming a little bit up out of it, easing the sensation on your 3 count inhale. And then exhale. As you relax just a little bit deeper into the body. If you lose your balance, just come back into it. Again, if you haven't got that reverse prayer option, just stay with the blocks. Just bringing the awareness to where your spine is going and at what point you lose the activation. If you go too far forward and start to round out through the spine, you may find that it's easier, but you're not working the body, you're not challenging it. So you really want to find the edge, stick with the edge and keep pushing yourself, or keep giving yourself permission to work with your edge, but not so much that you force something and break. It's why I pay so much attention to the breath, because when you breathe, it keeps your body safe and we have less injuries. If you want to spend a little bit more time working the rounds of breath, otherwise if you have the availability to go into your full split option, again, while I'm in here I may as well give you the demonstration. But so flexibility actually comes from the flexibility in the spine. So if I was folded forward, my spine's rounded over and I've lost all of the activation in that front leg. So it makes it a lot easier. So if that's your goal, you just want to get into splits, then come forward, round out through the back. If you want to be in a more upright splitted position, you're going to really have to work that back bend, because if you can see the correlation between the back of my leg and my upper body here, it's at a 90-degree angle, and that comes from flexibility in the spine. So again, just using the breath, using that reverse prayer option to open up through the shoulders as you squeeze the elbows together. The other thing you can activate here is the inner thighs. So if you can come up out of it, so squeezing the inner thighs together, and then exhale, release it long. Again, inhale, squeeze the inner thighs together, exhale as you release it long. And then you can go through a few rounds of this, and you can work that inner thigh activation no matter where you are, even all the way up into Untitled, which I'll cue more on the next side. So when you're ready, coming back to that last little bit of core movement, coming back through to the subdivided planks on the left side. So however way you get there, you can come into your chaturanga dragon press if you want to start to lift the knee up onto the elbow like a shelf, and then just slowly lift that foot off the floor. Coming down into your chaturanga press, elbows tucked into the sides of the body, bending no more than a 90-degree angle. Pressing back up, sending the leg in through the chest, lifting, reaching the leg out long. You can open up here through one last wild thing, rotating in that shoulder socket, allowing the top leg to fall to the other side of the mat as you stretch and release the right arm off the mat, stretching long here. Again, releasing the pelvis gently to the floor just for one press. And then bringing that knee slowly and controlled, like you're moving through honey. Just bring the knee around, bringing it into the chest. Then from here, release it into your plank for one more chaturanga. Full press or dropping to knees, chest, chin. The option here for full press, bring the shoulders over the wrists. Again, micro bend in the elbows. Draw the elbows in towards the side of the body, bend through that 90 degrees, and then draw the shoulders well over the fingertips. So you're really lifting up and out of the lower lumbar spine. Drawing the toes. So you can see how much I roll up the mat, because that's how much weight is in the tops of my toes. And then just start to pedal out the feet. Readjust the mat if it's slipping around on you. And then from here, we're going to draw the left leg in towards the chest, bringing the weight, bringing the shoulders over the fingertips. Sending the left leg up into your three-legged dog, just to stretch out in the hip socket gently. If you didn't want to take the wild thing option, you can just circle the hips in the socket 3 times one way, and then 3 times the other way. Otherwise, if you're ready, coming into your wild thing, lifting the leg up high above the head somewhere, reaching the left hand up and off the mat in a slow, controlled way. Finally, lifting, pressing the hips up to the ceiling, coming into a gentle back bend, releasing the hips down low to press up, coming into your side plank variation. So if you're coming through tree, through Vashi 2, through your split option, or just taking the peace fingers around the big toe, just finding that little bit of playfulness in your practice, working slowly, controlled, to find a little bit more of a gentle movement. And then once you make your way into your lizard, so left leg floats to the outside of the left hand, or taking as many steps as you need, you can have this chance to come down onto the forearms, to take the weight off the wrists. You can even use this time to roll them out as you inhale here, and then exhale. And then as and when you're ready, coming in to those spider plank variations. So if you need to come up or drop the knee into tabletop, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, we're going to lift the back knee, lift the knee up, send it to the back of the mat to start with, and then bring the shoulders over the wrist, drawing the core in. So really rounding out through the shoulder blades in a high plank variation. From here, we draw the left knee to left elbow, lift it up high to the shoulder, sending it to the back of the mat. And we do this 10 times. So again, working with the breath. If at all you lose the breath, just drop that knee until you find the patterning in the body, until it feels comfortable and familiar. And again, making the movements sharper so that you're coming through the contraction of each muscle group that you're working in each different movement. And then when you've done your 10, if you need to drop the knee, come back for a rest or come straight into the longer hold. So send the knee into the chest, lifting it up one more time into that downward dog, three-legged dog variation. Draw the knee in towards the chest, hold. So it's left knee, left elbow, this side, holding here, really crunching into that side of the body, pushing the floor away, squeezing the abdominals in towards the spine. Then when you've held for 10 counts, drawing the knee in towards the chest, rounding out even more through the upper body. If you've taken the weight off and out of the wrists, see if you can drive the back heel forward to send the weight, the shoulders over the wrists. And then when you're ready, moving on to the last side. So really squeezing the shoulder blades away from each other, resisting the floor. So we're not dumping into the joints. If you can, bringing the awareness to the thumbs, that internal engagement of the thumbs, pressing the pointer fingers away as you cross the left knee towards the right elbow. Taking just a couple more long deep breaths in this position. And then when you're ready, coming into your downward dog, pedaling out the feet here. We're going to step in towards our Untitled. So to get there, if you want to try one more time, just sending that leg up and back into your three-legged dog. Open up the hip into scorpion. If you want to come up and take wild thing on this side, releasing that foot, the top foot, to the back of the mat as you turn the body up towards the ceiling, lifting the left hand up and away from the floor. From here, coming back into your press, lowering the hips down. Coming through your side plank again, just slowly and controlled, drawing the knee in towards the chest. Taking your Vashi 2, or whichever side plank option you're taking, to slowly allow the foot to drop somewhere in between the hands underneath the nose. So coming back into your Untitled. So again, we're going to come, if you want to take a shorter stance, so you can start to stabilize. So drawing the heel towards the knee, lengthening through the tailbone. Again, bring the backs of the hands together as you reach the arms up above you. From here, coming into your mudra here, if you want to interlace all of the fingers, extend the pointer fingers, interlace or cross the thumbs over top of each other. Again, it's left thumb over right for males, or right thumb over left thumb over right for females, and right thumb over left for males. So just drawing the tailbone slowly towards the knee, and then working the inner thighs. So really lengthening up and out, activating the inner thighs, squeezing them together. If you want to release the back toes, you're welcome to do so. And then if you want to bring it into that back bend, taking the thumbs on either side of the spine. Lengthen through the tailbone as you lift the chest to the ceiling, really squeezing the shoulder blades together as you inhale and exhale, beginning to release the back of the neck long. Taking a couple more slow deep breaths. Then when you're ready, working your half split. So if you need to find your blocks, grab them now. Find that length down through the tailbone, through the crown of the head. As you inhale here, find a little bit of movement if you want to and it feels good for you. So you can just play around with flexing and pointing the feet. And then as you exhale, coming down low. So again, remembering if you've got that tailbone lengthen towards the back of the room. As you exhale, allow the breath to roll over the front foot. Inhale, taking a nice long deep inhalation, and then exhale, allowing the body to relax and sink a little bit deeper into the posture. Again, coming through those rounds of breath if it feels good in your body and it works for you, to come up for 3 counts, even rounding as much as you want to for that first 3 counts, and then finding that adjustment, finding that new pattern that you want to work into the body. As you exhale, sinking that new pattern deep within to the muscle memory of the tissues of the muscles, all of the fibers. Inhale, coming up for 3, and then exhale, releasing into it for 6 counts. A long, deep, slow, controlled exhalation. If you want to work the full splits, again, exhale, coming a little bit deeper into it, and again, working the inner thighs. So if you can engage the inner thighs, coming up, and then release on the exhale. And no matter how high or how low you are in the splits, you can always find that inner thigh activation and bring awareness to it as you lift up and then exhale. Again, if you want to and it feels better for you in the body, come into that forward fold. So you can stop working so much in the back bend and just work on flexibility in the legs. You can even rock back and forth on the hips. Again, finding movement. And then when you're ready, coming back up, however way you get there. Releasing that leg one more time up into your 3-legged dog, and then exhale. As you fold the body over the other side of the mat, twisting the body up to the ceiling, lifting the pelvis, dropping down, releasing the pelvis just slightly to the floor, coming back one more time, coming through your side plank variation. This time we're going to work into the shoulder socket. So from here, we'll start in a shorted seated kneeling position. You can start to roll out the wrists if you need to. And then from here, we're going to interlace the fingers, reaching them up and over. So we're coming into a little bit of a back bend here, really arcing through the upper body. From here, we're going to rotate the arms down, bending through the palms, or rotating the palms around. So this time we're externally rotating in the shoulder socket. Interlacing the fingers and reaching them away from the body as you come into your forward fold. Now if you want to, you can have the block here, resting the forehead on the block. The idea is that we just start to work on really opening up in the shoulder socket. So to do so, probably the best way to warm up the shoulder socket is to come into this gentle forward fold and then start to work the arms up and over the head. And then once you're here, you can start to rock side to side on your forehead, gently massaging the forehead into the floor as you inhale and exhale. Keeping that push of the hands away from the body, pushing them up and over the head as much as you can. And then when you're ready, coming back into tabletop, we're going to take that shoulder stretch a little bit deeper. So we're going to come into a forward fold. So coming up through downward dog, just walking the feet a little bit closer towards the hands. We can start here by heel toeing the feet wider apart. So perhaps just shorter than mats width distance apart. So your feet are still on the mat. And then from here, we can start to warm up the hamstrings just a little bit more. So taking the opposite hands in the elbows. And then gently as you inhale, ragdolling the body from side to side, allowing gravity, shaking the head, allowing gravity to release a little bit of tension and tightness in the spine. Perhaps as you breathe, just noticing that extra millimeter of space that you can feel in between the vertebrae here. And then when you're ready, we're going to interlace the fingers so you can come up halfway, interlace the fingers behind the back, and then make the feet a little bit wider. So now they're going to come off the mat. So we're coming into a wide angled forward fold with the shoulder extension variation. So we're just going to lift the arms up and over the head and then gently tuck the head
somewhere between the legs if you can. Otherwise, just allow the head to hang. If you have the availability, allow the crown of the head to release onto the mat. And then from here, be careful not to lose your balance. From here, just really start to work on bringing those shoulders around to the other side of the mat, pressing them together, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then releasing them away from the head. And then when you're ready, coming back up into your halfway wide angled forward fold lift, planting the hands flat on the mat or coming up high on a block, or you can have two blocks here. Just really making sure the spine is nice, long and flat rather than rounded out. So if you're rounded out, use the block until you eventually work the tailbone back to lengthen through the spine. There's a pattern in yoga, and in my classes I usually theme them around finding length in the spine. So we undo all of the sitting that we do at our desks when we work, all of the driving, all of that gravity compressing into the spine. I really encourage you to use your yoga practice to build up strength in the core muscles, to find that length in the spine, to build up the support around the bones, to hold that postural alignment in place. So from here we just reach the left arm up and over to the ceiling as you inhale, and then exhale, coming back into your forward fold. Taking the other arm up and over now, reaching the right arm to the ceiling as you inhale, twisting the upper body. If you want to come into the bind and you have the availability in your shoulders, just tucking and bending the arm behind the body. Coming back up again as you release the hand to the mat. And then you can take that on the other side. So again, reaching, you can play outside. Reaching the arm up and over to the ceiling, it doesn't matter. And then folding that arm back towards underneath the face. Reaching the other arm up, twisting open, twisting the chest. Again, coming into that bind if it feels good in your body. And then coming back into your halfway lift, we're just going to roll out onto the belly. And now we're going to work a little bit of the back body. So again, we're still going to be working on opening up through the shoulders. This time we're going to stretch out long on the mat. Option is to just stay in crocodile, placing the fingertips over top of each other so you can make a diamond shape, pressing the thumbs together, and then place the bottom of the thumbs in between the forehead, and then relax the forehead into that space in between the diamond. So from here, you can come up onto your fingertips. You can make it a really gentle back roll here. You can come up lifting the neck to the ceiling and then roll back down. Otherwise, if you want to start to really work on using the back muscles, this is probably the most challenging back bend. So we really want to set it up. So we're working the structure of the muscles, building up the muscles to support the posture rather than just getting into the posture and then losing that muscle awareness because we have the bind. So from here, we're just going to draw the elbows in line with the shoulders, squeezing the shoulder blades up, really opening up through the chest, perhaps even gently tucking the chin in towards the chest. As you exhale, reach the arms back long. And we're going to do this another couple of rounds. So squeezing the elbows in line with the shoulders or further back, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and then exhale, stretching out long. And again, one more time, squeezing the shoulders together here. This time we're going to bring the glutes into it. So lifting either one or both legs up, knees bent, pressing the heels in towards the ceiling. And then we're going to activate the glutes as we go through the movement. So you can release and let go just a little bit, keeping that belly still drawn into the spine throughout this whole flow if you can. And then as you squeeze the shoulders, this time we're also going to squeeze the glutes and press the heels in towards the ceiling. We're going to go through that a couple more times. So inhale, stretch long. Exhale, squeeze the heels in towards the ceiling. One more round here. Inhale, stretch long. Exhale as you squeeze up. This time you're going to just test yourself. So if you can draw the heels in towards the back of the body, squeeze the shoulder blades up together, and then take both hands around the calves without moving side to side. because once you start to move side to side, you're going to be dumping into that lower lumbar and it's going to create wear and tear. So you want to be able to have the strength in the body to pull yourself naturally and gently into that position first. And then once you're here, the other option is you can completely relax and let go of all of the muscles that you've just worked to bring awareness to get yourself into the posture. And that defeats the purpose of the pose. So we don't want to cheat, we want to keep working the muscles. We want to keep building strength in our body, even if we can hold the ankles. And keep lifting everything up to the ceiling. Keep squeezing the inner thighs together. Keep squeezing the shoulders as you inhale here, and then you can release and let go. If you don't have the availability yet to catch onto your ankles, keep working this flow, this sequence, until you eventually have the strength to lift up evenly and gently with control to catch your ankles. If you have it and you can keep going, keep working that bow pose. So coming up out of it, holding it for a couple of breaths, perhaps 3 or 4 deep, long breaths. You may even begin to start to rock as the belly moves with the breath. You gently start to rock, just gently, in time with the breath. So it's never going to be a still holding posture if you've got the breath. And then when you're ready, releasing and letting go. You can counteract that. You can come up through knees, chest, chin, through to your child's pose if you want to release. Or if you want to take the option here of knees together, so you can round out the torso over the spine. And then from here, if you can see, you can catch onto your heels. Again, releasing the crown of the head into the floor, and then start to lift the tailbone up here as you inhale and exhale.
Where's my Kit Kat?
And then when you're ready, releasing back down. We've got one more, maybe a couple more shoulder opening sequences that I can think of to try out. So from here, we're just going to try, if you want to try this variation, this transition to go from downward dog. You can start to tent the fingertips, cross the ankles, and then draw them in towards the chest as you release them out long. That's only an option, otherwise just come back onto the mat, however way you get there. Lying down flat on your back, draw the knees in towards the chest. And then you can give yourself a gentle hug as you rock side to side. From here, you can release the feet up. We're going to go up into shoulder stand. Option is to stay here if you want to, just legs at a 90-degree angle. Otherwise, we're going to lift the pelvis, ideally in that reverse crunch. So if you can use the hands to lift up into your shoulder stand variation. And then from here, we're going to do a little bit of a split flow sequence. So you can drop one knee in towards the chest, stretching it out long. So stretch the right leg out long in front of the face. Send the left leg towards the back, coming into a shoulder stand split variation. And then bringing the other foot through, left foot through in front of the face. Sending the right foot to the back of the mat. From here, drawing both knees in towards the chest, you can open the soles of the feet. So soles of the feet are planted together, open up through the knees. Coming into a shoulder stand butterfly here, and then if you want to, and it's available to you, start to open up the feet. So toes somewhere in a straddle position, somewhere on the back of the mat. From here, you can draw the toes together behind your head at the front of the mat, and then interlace the fingers. So release the hands, interlace the fingers. You can even start to walk the shoulder blades. So you really find a nice big stretch down the back of the neck as you inhale here and exhale. And then when you're ready, you can begin to release the vertebrae down the spine one by one. And once you release the legs fully all the way to the floor, roll over onto your stomach. And we've got one more flow that we can work to really start to open up through the shoulders here. So the idea is that we're going to draw that knee up into reclined tree. Stretch the arm out either in front of the body or take it flip the back of the hand so it's on the floor. If you can see, I've flipped it, and then place it on the floor. So from here, we're just going to bring the left arm down to the floor. Open up to the ceiling, so you've compressed that spine. My hand is still behind me. So I'm really stretching out the shoulder socket here. And then draw that foot down the leg. Again, coming onto the belly. Drawing the knee up into belly down tree. Opening up the knee to the ceiling. And then drawing that foot down to meet that bottom leg. Again, one more time. Draw the knee up through belly down tree. Open the knee to the ceiling. And then from here, we're going to take it into a longer hold. So from here, you can wrap that other arm. You can plant that foot behind that extended knee. You can take the top arm, interlace the fingers behind the back. And then just start to stretch. If you can see, I've interlaced my fingers. And now I'm just releasing the head to the mat. And really just breathing, working on squeezing the shoulder blades together. As you inhale here and exhale. Taking a couple of rounds of breath. Option is, if you don't have that availability to stretch the shoulders, you can keep that arm out long up here until you can eventually move into the flow with a little bit more flexibility. Then from here, we're going to take it on the other side. So you may be able to see it a little bit better for what I'm doing with my arms from this side. So again, either arm out long in front, this time it's my right arm, or flipping the back of the hand, allowing it to fall on the mat. And as I do so, drawing the opposite leg up into belly down tree, opening up the knee to the ceiling. So using a little bit of weight in the body, pushing through that top left hand, rolling back onto my stomach, drawing the left leg up into belly down tree, using the weight, pushing the body weight into that top hand. The top left hand is then gliding that foot back down to meet the ankle. Again, one more time, drawing the knee in through belly down tree, lifting it open to the ceiling, and this time we're going to plant that foot behind that long leg, the leg that's outstretched. So my right leg's down long, I'm planting my left foot, and now I'm going to interlace the fingers behind the back and really start to push the fingers away from the back of my body. So really finding that resistance, that really nice release in the upper body, in through the shoulders as you inhale here and exhale. And then finally, we're going to bring it into our resting position. So we'll go through one more twist. Just checking the timer. So that's an hour. So we're going to do, possibly I do about a 5 to 10 minutes of asana. So we're just going to go into it. First of all, we're going to twist. So releasing the body to the back of the mat, drawing the knees into the chest. Option here, as you work the twist, you can just simply drop the knees down side by side, just making sure that the shoulders are flat on the mat. So if it means you need to place a block underneath the knees, so you can keep the shoulder blades flat, you want to make sure that you're not over twisting in the wrong areas of the spine. So the way we do that is to lift the knees a little bit higher and then just keep the shoulder blades flat. Other option here, if you want to try a little bit more of an outer hip stretch, you can wrap the right leg around the left leg, and then if you have the availability, hooking the right ankle around the left ankle. Then from here, lift up the hips, send them to the right side of the mat as you drop towards the left side of the mat. Again, the same idea applies. So if you can't get the knees down as well as the shoulder blade, send the block underneath the knee as high as you need to until you work a little bit deeper into the flexibility. It could be just an anatomical structure. As you inhale here and exhale, being aware of the breath. So really allowing the breath to balloon up the belly in these twisted variations. A twist in general makes it really hard to breathe. So as you inhale here and exhale, and then drawing the knees back up into your neutral alignment, sending the hips back to their neutral position, unwrapping the legs. Again, if you just took the two knees down to the side of the mat option, you're welcome to take it here.
Again, finding your block if you need to do so. Otherwise, if you're coming into the eagle wrap, wrapping the left foot around the right leg, wrapping the left ankle around the right ankle, lifting the hips, sending them towards the left hand side of the mat, and then again keeping the shoulder blades flat on the mat as you slowly drop the knee to one side, to the right side. So left legs are dropping towards the right side of the mat. As you inhale, allowing the breath to really balloon up and open, and exhale. Taking a couple of really deep, long breaths here. And I have one more last idea, I just thought about it now, to really work a little bit more flexibility in the shoulders. And this is where we come into the binds. So we can do a double whammy. We can work flexibility in the pelvis, coming into shoelace. So again, it's the same idea. We just cross, we'll start with the left leg, cross it over top of the right knee. And then you're gonna I'll show you on the, so I can get the right angle so you can see. So from here, you may not be able to open up the legs too far, so keep them tucked towards the pelvis. If it feels better for you to start with, come up onto a block, place it behind the glutes, and then just sit down on the block. Now from here, if you have the availability and the stretch and the flexibility, you can start to open up that kneecap, the knee joints. So you're working the shins away from you. And then the reason it's such a good way to work the shoulder flexibility is because you can actually reach the right arm up behind you, placing it down behind the spine, and then tuck the left hand up, bending it towards the right hand. So you're interlacing the fingers together as you inhale and exhale. I'll give you a better demonstration from behind. So from here, bring the right arm down towards the spine somewhere, and then just tuck the left arm up, and then just really work on lifting the pelvis. So if you can, stack the shoulders over top of the hips, and then stack the ears over top of the shoulders. So you've really got a nice long straight spine right through from the crown of the head, gently tucking the chin as you inhale here and then exhale. And then from here you can try this variation. So coming up into a cross wide angled forward fold, open twisting around to your wide angled forward fold, coming back around. So you've completely switched the flip of the legs, so they're coming into a different angle, or you're on the other side, if that makes sense. So again, this time take the left arm up behind you, and then stretch the other fingertips up somewhere near that top hand. And again, just working on really lengthening and opening up through the triceps, squeezing the shoulder blades together if you can. Just taking a couple of deep breaths as you inhale here and then exhale. And then when you're ready, coming back around, this time we're going to roll down for our Savasana. If there is, I'll give you one last twist option if you want to take it, because this one really works on the shoulders. So if you want to take the bind, come into a seated twist. So drawing the knee up, drawing the ankle towards the knee, cross it over that extended leg, draw the right leg into the glutes if you can, otherwise just leave it extended long. Reach the right arm over top and then cross it over the left knee. And then we're going to come around, opening up the chest. Option here is to take that hand and then weave it through that little gap in the leg. Reach the other arm up and over. So left hand up comes behind the body. And then if you can see, you're just going to hook it in there, in that little gap. And then you're going to open. You're going to work the head, whichever feels comfortable for you, as you inhale and exhale. And then releasing all of that on the other side when you're ready. So switching the cross, left leg out long in front, taking the right leg, folding it across the other leg, bending
the left foot in towards the glutes. This time it's left hand, twisting towards the right knee. Coming here, if that's where you are, then just stay there. Otherwise, hooking the left elbow around the right knee, finding that gap in the space in the thighs. If you have it in between the thigh and the calf, reaching the right arm over top, bending it behind you, coming through to find that gap, to find the hand that's come through the gap. I'll show you from the back view as well. So, bringing that arm around, weaving it through, sending the right arm back and behind the body, and then making contact. If you don't have contact, find a strap or a jersey so you can hold on to this piece of material to really work on opening up, twisting the upper spine, squeezing the shoulder blade in towards the spine as you inhale here and then exhale. And then when you're ready, releasing, letting go, finally coming into Savasana now. So this is where you get to relax and lie down. So option here is to come into a constructive rest. Honey, I'm just doing a video, sweetie. I know, I'll do yoga with you after, okay? We'll do our own special yoga, okay? So lying down flat on the mat, taking the feet further than hips width distance apart, so you can just knock the knees in together, and then releasing and letting go. So letting the arms fall away from the sides of the body. If this feels comfortable, stay here. If you've got anything going on in your lower lumbar or your sacroiliac joint, it's going to feel a lot more comfortable to stay in constructive rest. Otherwise, if you have the availability, send the feet wider than mat's width distance apart. Allow the feet to naturally split open as far as they want to go. Allow the hands to fall as far away from the body. Again, if you do find this a little bit uncomfortable and you prefer to bring blocks or something under the knees, so you can bend out and relax and have that nice flat spine connected to the earth. So if that's a better option for you, take those options, just play around with it. You want to be really comfortable. You want to be able to inhale all the way through the body. Allow the whole body to be breathed as you exhale. Allowing the gentle breath to brush the heels, the calves, the ankles. Allowing everything to be relaxed and let go on every exhalation. So finding the connection of all of the points of the lower body, right from the heels, the ankles, the calves, the backs of the knees, the hamstrings, the glutes. And allowing the gentle breath to brush those areas, finding the connection to the mat. And allowing the whole of the lower body to be relaxed, as if there's an anchor, drawing the body into those points of connection. Allowing all of the tension and tightness to be completely relaxed and let go. And then bringing the awareness now to the pelvis. Taking a deep, long inhalation, allowing the belly to really balloon up and out. Taking a deep, long inhalation. And as you exhale, allowing the breath to naturally draw the belly towards the spine on the out breath. Noticing those points of connection in the back of the body, the sides of the spine, the rib cage, the back of the ribs, the shoulder blades, and the shoulders. And as you breathe awareness into these points of connection on the mat, allowing the whole torso to be completely relaxed and let go. Taking another gentle breath and noticing how the breath expands the rib cage. It expands the intercostal muscles in the body. Just naturally finding your own natural breathing rhythm. As you inhale, taking a deep breath, bringing awareness to the shoulders as you inhale here, and then relaxing the shoulders down into the mat. Relaxing the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the backs of the hands and the fingertips. Allowing both arms to be completely relaxed and let go. And as you inhale here and exhale, bringing awareness now to the back of the neck. Keeping it nice and long, gently tucking the chin.
bringing awareness to the lower face, allowing the jaw to soften, allowing the tongue to naturally roll back in the mouth, allowing the corners of the mouth to smile up into a smile. And now bringing the awareness to the sensation of the breath, the temperature of the breath as you breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Taking a few moments, perhaps to notice the feeling of air on the skin, the feeling of cloth on the skin, all of those subtle differences in the body, the different changes of temperature between the feet, the hands, and the limbs. And as you move the awareness to the forehead now, just allowing the brow to be unknitted and unfurled. As you inhale, taking a deep, long inhalation, and then exhale, allowing the whole forehead to be relaxed and let go. Bringing awareness now to the middle of the mind, noticing any thoughts, feelings, sensations, or emotions that have risen up during this practice. Or just notice how the mind is now compared to at the beginning of the class. Without catching on to the thoughts, without labeling them, without judging them, just allowing them to be relaxed and let go. And as you inhale here, imagining a channel running all the way down to the tailbone. As you breathe a deep, long inhalation, allowing the breath to journey up and down through this channel, moving through the spine. Allowing the body to be breathed through this channel. Allowing the breath to infiltrate right through to the core of the body, into the bones, the muscle fibers, the ligaments, the tendons, and the joints.